Kamala Harris is doing two of the most bizarre, strange things that I've ever seen a presidential candidate do. One of them is happening soon, and the other one has already happened. It's just being revealed to the world with what is, without question, the most inappropriate, creepy campaign ad ever done by a presidential candidate. We're going to get to that in just a moment. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. The Brian Craig Show podcast is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing, who will never sell you a roof you do not need. Online at laportaroofing.com. Okay, let's first start with this white dudes for Harris. And I saw this morning on X, and I thought it was just some guy, like, okay, I'm a white guy for Kamala Harris. And I was like, whatever, that's insane. And then I saw later in the morning, David Hogg and a couple other guys were on CNN talking about how they're white dudes for Harris. And this is like it's a thing now. And white dudes for Harris are going to hold a Zoom call in response to the white women Kamala Zoom meeting, where I guess I'm told Kamala Harris broke a world record for the largest Zoom meeting. And they're going to have, 160,000 white dudes for Kamala on, or as many as they can get as close to that. And first off, could you imagine if a group of white guys got together and did a Zoom call, trying to break a world record Zoom call, and said white dudes for Trump? What would they say in the media?
Yeah, that wouldn't fly.
White supremacist, racist, Nazis. And I watched this interview. I'm not going to play the clip from it. I am going to play this creepy commercial that Kamala Harris has just released in a moment, so stay tuned for that. Don't miss that. I saw the David Hogg segment. I'm not going to play it for you, but I saw it. And I don't want to play it. I just tell you a couple things about it. And he says, well, we got young, old, middle, age. This campaign that she's running is so racist towards white people, white men in particular. And you're getting these bizarre stereotypes of white men in this country as viewed through this prism of people in Kamala Harris's orbit. And David Hogg and these others that are organizing this white dudes for Kamala Zoom call, what they're trying to do is the opposite of what Candace Owens was doing with Blexit. They're trying to do the opposite of the walk away movement. What they're trying to say, as crazy as this is, because even white liberals think white people are racist. They just think we're racist, which is absurd. All the racist laws that were overturned by white people in government, okay? Because minorities didn't have a voice in government, right? We didn't have minority congressmen really to speak of. We didn't have minority judges to speak of. We didn't have certainly president, and they seem to not recognize that. So these
younger people and people today don't, especially like millennials and Gen Z, they don't care about history because they don't know history.
That's correct.
They don't learn history. So history is no longer something they learn from.
It started in 2008 when Obama was elected to them.
I mean, that's done by design. So it's not something they can have perspective on because they don't learn anything about it. So talking about that to them is just it doesn't matter.
It's bizarre.
Even if they did know that, they would say, well, that was then and this is now.
Yeah.
This is a whole new Democratic Party. This is not the same party that I grew up with.
No.
The Kennedys and all that. And this is a radicalized.
Even the Carters.
Yeah, this is a radicalized movement. And it's
very radicalized and racist.
To see what they're doing.
Well, and then
crazy.
What they're doing with the white dudes for Trump, they've decided that white people are all racist. right? That they've just decided that. For some reason, they've decided all white people are racist.
Or at least they want to give that impression.
Yeah. And so what they're saying is, we're white dudes for Kamala.
Right.
It's okay to be white and support someone who's not, is what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
Which is insane. I mean, look at the MAGA support for Byron Donalds. You know, when when the vice presidential choices were being made, I don't know a single MAGA person that didn't say, I'd love Byron Donalds to be the pick. I hope Byron Donalds is our governor here in Florida after Ron DeSantis. We're not into racial stuff, but because we're not and we view everybody the same and we're, you know, in the MAGA movement, they think that by definition is racist. It's that anti-racism theory that, you know, it's so bizarre. And the white dudes for Kamala, I have it's so strange what has happened in the last 5 to 7 years where they've just decided that all white people are racist. They've also decided that, I know some of this was going on with Obama, but in the last 5 or so years since Trump's first campaign, it's amped up in a different way. They've decided not only that all white people are racist, but white people should not even have a voice in our society anymore because they've had a voice long enough.
Right.
And what we're starting to see is this not only open bigotry towards whites, but a justification for the oppression of them. Now, Kamala,
they feel it's completely justified, and if you confront anybody who thinks that way, they tell you, well, we can't be racist because we're not the ruling class. Well,
yes, they are.
Might be
they are the ruling class, Kathy. We've had a black president twice, and Kamala's running for president
exactly.
now.
And they're
days are over.
Replacing white people with non-white people in this country.
So now Kamala, she releases this ad, which is the creepiest presidential campaign ad in history. It's from one of her PACs called "Won't Pack Down." And it's a visual ad. I'll describe it to you, and then we will play the audio, okay? It's different men talking. They're all white, and they're talking about abortion and birth control, okay? And I'm not going to comment on it. I just want you to set the stage. And all the guys are white men, and they're different types of white men. One guy is supposed to look like someone's dad. One guy looks like some gamer dude, okay? One guy looks like some creepy uncle that has a sideline working as a pimp. And one guy is overweight and slacks and a business, not suit, but shirt, and it's covered in sweat under his arms and on his chest, and he's obese.
Weird.
And
I don't know why they had him in there.
Because this is how they view white people. White men in particular. So let me play this ad. It's Kamala's new ad from her PAC, Won't Pack Down. I'm going to play the whole thing uninterrupted, and then we'll talk about it.
Us MAGA Republicans banned abortion, but that's just the start.
That's just the start. If Trump gets elected, we want the government involved in all aspects of your sex life.
Way more involved.
Way more involved.
When you have sexual intercourse, it should be illegal to use contraception. No pills, no condoms.
Your genitals are reserved for procreation.
If you freeze 12 eggs, you should be required to have 12 babies, or else you're a serial killer. And I'm definitely not a serial killer.
Are you?
My son monitors my porn usage to make sure I'm not self-pleasuring.
Just like Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. That's true, you can look it up.
Don't you think that's normal?
Yeah, I do.
It's normal for your son to do that.
You should have a family member monitor your porn use too.
Because pleasuring yourself is very, very naughty.
Okay, now the next part, I'm not going to play.
Lord.
The next part, I'm not going to play. It's too vulgar. Okay, I know this is the internet and we can play anything. You got to look at it on my Twitter feed, Brian Craig Show on Twitter. That's not a plug for my X account, okay? I don't want the end clip there on the podcast. It's really bad. They make some bodily sounds that are not appropriate. I feel dirty listening to that, and it's so interesting. They spend so much of it talking about sex and pornography. This is like pornography, and like the white dudes for Trump, where David Hogg and the white dudes for Kamala are going to tell you it's okay to be white and support someone who's not on this bizarre Zoom call. This here is how Kamala Harris those around her, those supporting her, and Democrats view white Trump supporters as a bunch of weirdos like this that want to have control over what women do. None of that is true. I don't want to get too sidetracked into it, other than to tell you that the Republican Party platform, which is Trump's position, has always been overturn Roe v. Wade and let the states decide. Some states, after Roe v. Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court, some states have stricter abortion laws, okay? Some states have more liberal abortion laws where abortion tourism is becoming like an industry. So, that's the way it is. No, the Republican Party, this doesn't mean that there are not Republicans who are pushing for this or pushing for that. But Donald Trump and the MAGA movement is not looking to outlaw abortion or even limit it any more than it's being limited already. In fact, Donald Trump would probably tell you, and I think I've heard him say this, Kathy, maybe you have too, and you guys listening, I've heard Donald Trump say, I'm pretty sure, that some Republicans want too many restrictions on abortion. That doesn't mean that all Republicans agree. But this ad is
what's with the Mike Johnson and the self-pleasuring stuff?
I don't know. I don't know.
Weird.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I have never heard a political ad like that.
That's how they view us. That's how they view those of us that are men that support Trump.
That says really more about them than us.
Well, they don't know it. And Kamala, at the end of the week, she ended last week by going on RuPaul's drag show TV show. Okay? And she did, and it debuted like the day before this demonic Olympics opening ceremony. And it makes me think that Kamala and her team knew what was coming at the Olympic ceremony, and she did the RuPaul thing to be like a companion that, like the Kamala Harris's people, there's no way it's just a coincidence, right? She's on RuPaul's drag show. The next day is the Olympics. They're going
after the gay vote. I mean, there's so
They've
many
already
gays.
got the gay vote.
No, but not all. There's gays for Trump, but there's so many gays in the country now, probably more than ever. They're really going after that demographic, but I think that might backfire, and she's just a weird lady. So
you think?
I mean, compare that to Trump's ads.
And you know who's the leader of the white dudes for Kamala? You know who it is? Mayor Pete.
Oh wow!
Yeah. He's your average white dude.
Yeah, he
Mayor
breastfeeds.
Pete. Yeah, I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
Now, President Trump has agreed to do something that I'm very concerned about. Okay, he's agreed to do this, and I'm not the only one. Cat Turd also agrees with me on this. Okay, he feels the same way that I do. Donald Trump has agreed to sit down and be questioned by the FBI in regards to the assassination attempt on him. He should not do that. It's a perjury trap. It's a perjury trap. And Cat Turd agrees with me. He didn't say perjury trap. He said it's a trap. So that's what the trap is.
Does he have to testify under oath or?
No, anytime you're talking to a federal agent, even if you're not under oath and you lie, it's a federal crime. So what they do is
So why is he doing it?
They ask you, was it raining? No, but then they'll say, oh, but there was some precipitation there before you knew. Oh, you lied to federal agents. There was some precipitation there. You lied. It's a perjury. The federal prisons are filled with people that have done nothing but been accused of lying to federal agents under questioning. It's a tactic that they use to jam people up and arrest people that they can't find evidence on or get a conviction on. Okay? President Trump should not do an interview with the FBI over what do they need to interview him about? It was seen. There's camera angles from everywhere. There are many, many witnesses. Yeah. We all saw it. There's no need for President Trump to be interviewed by the FBI about this. They should interview the kid's parents that did it, the monster shooter, and his family and everybody that came in contact with him and everyone else, and maybe track down the people he was contacting with on social media. Maybe they should look for that person that his phone was pinging to at the FBI offices in D.C. But President Trump should not talk to the FBI. Kathy and I, we watch a lot of ID, and you see this happening. You see this happening on ID. They're trying to jam somebody up, so they question them, and then they wear them down with the question. Mm-hmm. This is a very bad idea. Remember last week, right? Christopher Wray told the committee in Congress that they're not sure that Donald Trump was even shot, even though we all saw it. So the outrage from that was so big, they're like, okay, that's not credible. So they came back a day or two later and said, okay, he was shot. So, I mean, come on. Yeah. Why do they need to talk to Donald Trump about the assassination attempt on his life? What does he have to add to that? Nothing.
No, I think they should talk to – well, I don't think they should be handling any of it.
No, and he definitely should not be talking to them.
But now Mike Johnson said there's going to be an independent group
an
investigating, but this will go nowhere like everything else.
There should not be an like an official investigation like that until Trump's back in office.
I have an idea. Trump could hire his own private detectives.
Yeah, let him investigate.
And let him investigate it and hire...
Get Bongino on it.
Hire the guy from the ID, the cop we like, the retired detective. What's his name? The American detective guy, Joe.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. On Discovery and ID.
Hire him. He's
good.
Or
Mark Furman. That would really flip him out.
Oh, yeah.
Hire Mark Furman to investigate.
Exactly.
And
I'm serious. Hire his own task force. That's what I do.
Led by
Why
Mark
is he
Furman.
letting the government?
Yeah.
I mean, some people think they're the ones behind it. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think. Should Donald Trump...
It's like letting Ted Bundy testify in his own defense.
Well, they've been trying to jam Donald Trump up since 2015. They failed. And... everyone believes that there was some type of deep state conspiracy about this whole thing. Everybody believes it. So you got to go talk to the deep state and let them do it. The same people have been trying to lock you up for 9 years.
I mean, they're even openly discussing that on the news.
Yes.
I mean,
it's
ABC
crazy.
Had on the SWAT team, they interviewed the SWAT team that was there, and they even said that the comms between them and the Secret Service, there was no comms, which was highly unusual. Remember I said it's all about the communication?
Yeah.
And we need to hear those tapes. There was no communication between the SWAT team and the Secret Service at that event, which is not the normal thing to do. So that means if they saw somebody, they would not be able to warn the Secret Service.
Kathy, I saw a photo today.
I mean, come on.
Let me see if I can find this. Let me look on my X. Okay, I found this. This is on my X, okay, Brian Craig Show. There's a new video out. There is a new video that shows a uniformed police officer at the site with his weapon drawn 2 minutes before the shooting. Yeah. There's an article in the Gateway Pundit about it, and there's a video. He's a uniformed patrol officer. He's not inside the rally area. He's outside the rally perimeter. He's in the grass. Around where those buildings are. He's got his pistol drawn. He's got it out in his hand to his side. To me, I can't tell if his finger's on the trigger or not, but he's got a weapon drawn 2 minutes before the shooting.
So there was no way for this guy to, maybe he thought he could, so what did he do? He just circled the building?
Who knows?
And if he wasn't in the same comm link or whatever as the Secret Service, there's no other way to warn them? To like let them know.
Kathy, this is
a mess.
Listen, everyone knows this stinks. One president was shot on Saturday.
Yeah.
And 8 days later, the following Sunday, another one, they had a coup and he stepped down from running for re-election.
Yeah.
Two presidents in a week.
Could you imagine the state of our country if Trump had died and then thing with Biden, the state of our country, what we'd be in right now?
Chaos.
I mean, you have people here, if you ever questioned that there was a deep state controlling things, I mean, come on, it's so obvious that there's people here. What happened with Biden was a coup. He did not want to leave. He even said it'll take an act of God to remove him. Okay? That's, you know what that means. But then a week later, he dropped out because, like Trump said, they threatened him with the 25th and they had the paperwork ready to go, and Kamala said, I'm going to do it. He should have called their bluff, but maybe they wore him down.
Well, there's been some reporting over the weekend.
They deposed him and installed her.
Obama personally called Biden.
Oh yeah, he's behind it.
And it was Jill. They're both on the phone and said Kamala's got the votes for the 25th Amendment of the cabinet, and that's when he did it.
Yeah.
And there's some video of Jill at an Olympic party with Spike Lee. Have you seen this?
No.
Guys, look
She's a weirdo.
Look this up on Twitter. Spike Lee goes up to her. I've never seen her look like this. She looks like she's almost in tears. She looks very upset, Jill Biden. I have never seen her like this. And that's because there was a shakedown.
Here's what I think will happen with the Bidens. I think that Jill Biden eventually is going to move to Europe. I don't think she's going to stay
Really?
here.
Why do you say that?
Well, she's there now.
That's a strange thing.
She's there now, and she loves it in France and all this stuff. I just feel because she feels that everybody turned on them and that they have no friends left.
Oh, yeah.
And that once Biden's gone, it's just a hunch.
No, they will see her again.
I think she'll just go.
Fade away.
She'll be like Tina Turner and go live in Switzerland, or Charlie Chaplin.
I see what you mean.
She'll go off and be like, "I'm done. Screw this country." Like Harry left England, and she'll go live in Europe somewhere with Macron and all these weirdos, and where she'll get some. It's like I don't think she's going to be getting invited to parties and things here, but if she's over there, people want to meet her. But you know what I mean? I think she'll get a better reception. She's getting a better reception.
When I saw her,
a hunch I have.
When I saw her with Spike Lee,
I could be wrong.
She looked like she'd been crying. I mean, crying hard.
And everybody they've known has turned on them.
And I didn't think about it that way. She views that all their friends have turned on them.
Yeah, I just could see her leaving one day and just, not that I care, but just leaving the country and living somewhere else and being done with it all.
Now, I want to talk about...
can't blame her.
Yeah, and I want to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. And, Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing, he's a good MAGA guy, and he'll never sell you a roof you do not need, which is all you need to know to give him a call to take care of your roofing needs, because roofers want to sell you new roofs. When before we knew Tom Laporta, we had a hurricane, I don't know, about close to 20 years ago, and we had some roof damage. But our roof, we have a shingled roof, and we were missing some shingles. We did not need a new roof. We couldn't find a roof. We didn't know Tom Laporta then. We couldn't find a roofer that would do it because they said, no, we don't do repairs. We only do new roofs, because they figure it's not enough money for them if it's just a repair. If you need just a simple repair, Tom Laporta will do it. He will never sell you a roof you do not need. He works with every type of roofing material there is, and he works on every type of structure: municipal buildings, office buildings, warehouses, condos, apartment buildings, single-family homes, whatever, schools. He even does church roofs, okay? And he also has the same tiles that President Trump has on the roof at Mar-a-Lago. So if you want a Trump roof, he can take care of that for you too. And that's a very special roof with special tiles, and they're quite beautiful. So if you're interested in that, call and let him know about the Trump roof, and he'll know exactly what you're talking about. He covers pretty much the whole state of Florida, right? From Jupiter south to Miami, from Tampa south to Naples, and everywhere in between, both the east and west coast of Florida, and everywhere in between. You can find him online at LaportaRoofing.com, LaportaRoofing.com, or you can call and text him on his cell phone. This is the number that rings to the phone that's in his pocket, unless he's talking on it. If you don't believe me, call. He'll answer, or you can send him a text. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And make sure you tell him you heard me telling you about him. All right, we're going to take our first break. Oh, you do not want to miss the next segment. When we come back, we're going to touch on something that is the scariest thing I've heard come from the Biden administration since he took the oath of office, and that is not an exaggeration. It is frightening. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll take a quick break and be back right after this.
Looking to make money online? Join an exclusive community of successful business owners today. With an easy step-by-step blueprint, you'll learn how to launch an online business and automate your income with digital products. Get instant access now and start earning daily pay. Follow the proven 3-step system to achieve financial freedom. Don't wait. Start now at Launchpad and start your journey to 100% profit. Visit iMakePassiveIncome.com. That's iMakePassiveIncome.com to get started today. iMakePassiveIncome.com. Married men, listen up. How's your love life with your wife? Are you still seeing eye to eye? How's your communication with your wife? Do you feel you're losing her? If you answered yes and you're feeling hopeless in your marriage, it's time for a change. And the new book from author Wendy Reyes will give you the help that you need. From Hopeless to a Confident Man, available on Amazon. From Hopeless to a Confident Man offers 25 simple secret keys to show the love of your life that you can become the man of her dreams once again. With this must-read book, you'll learn how to think and act like a confident man, improve your relationship, and enhance your overall lifestyle with your family. Each step will help you navigate specific situations with your partner so that you can foster a better, loving, and respectful relationship. Don't lose hope. Everyone deserves a second chance. Order your copy of From Hopeless to a Confident Man from author Wendy Reyes on Amazon, available in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Are you looking for that perfect personalized gift? Then check out MAUSA Co. on Etsy.com. They have everything from custom portraits and magnets to stickers, mugs, tumblers. They also offer sweatshirts and tote bags. And that's just the beginning of their incredible inventory. Send in a photo of your pet and they'll create a beautiful digital portrait or poster just for you. And soon, their Christmas ornaments will be available. Enjoy discounts of up to 50% each and every day. Start shopping right now at MAUSA.etsy.com. That's MAUSACO.etsy.com. You can also find them on Instagram and Pinterest. MAUSACO.etsy.com. How would you like to live a healthier, more vibrant life? You can with TheNatureHill.com, your trusted source for natural supplements and organic herbs. TheNatureHill.com believe that nature provides everything we need to achieve optimal wellness. Inspired by century-old traditions as well as modern science, they've curated the finest natural supplements and organic herbs to nurture your body, your mind, and your spirit. With TheNatureHill.com, you'll experience the power of nature with their carefully curated selection of products that support your well-being from the inside out. Whether you're looking to boost your immunity, enhance your energy, or find balance, TheNatureHill.com has the natural solutions you're looking for. Explore their wide range of natural supplements and organic herbs online at TheNatureHill.com. Order now and take the first step towards a healthier, more vibrant you. TheNatureHill.com, nurturing your body, your mind, and your spirit. TheNatureHill.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Okay, so Biden released this letter, supposedly by him. Guy can't even put a thought together. And it's a very detailed letter, which we're going to go through the highlights of about the Supreme Court and changes they want to make. Mm-hmm. And when I got off the air this morning, I was listening to, in the car, I was listening to Fox, which I'm done with again, by the way. And they were playing a clip, I think was from, it was either CNN or MSNBC, of Lindsey Graham being interviewed. And they said, will you support President Biden if he sends a Supreme Court reform bill to the Senate? And he said, no. But a Supreme Court reform bill, here's what's happened, okay? For the first time ever, the Democrats don't have control of the Supreme Court. And when I say ever, I'm like, in my adult lifetime, okay? And I know what you say, well, there's been Republican majority. No, we've always had Republicans that were turncoats. Like Ronald Reagan appointed Sandra Day O'Connor, the first woman to the Supreme Court, and she sided with the liberals all the time. We always have one of these justices that have sided with the left, okay? Now we have what's described as a Trump Supreme Court, a conservative Supreme Court, and while that may be true to a certain extent, what you have on the Supreme Court is a Supreme Court with a majority, thanks to Donald Trump, but a majority that are what we would consider to be constitutionalist. And what happens a lot of times on the Supreme Court, you get these activist judges. And activist judges that are either lower federal judges or on the Supreme Court, They make their rulings, they make their decisions not based on the Constitution, which they're supposed to interpret the Constitution. They don't do that. They make decisions based on how they think things should be. They're called activist judges. And now we have a majority conservative Supreme Court, thanks to Trump's great appointments, right? Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, the one that gave him COVID. I forgot her name offhand. You know what I'm talking about?
Barrett, yeah,
Amy Coney Barrett. And they sometimes make decisions you don't like. Most of the time they've made decisions I like. They've overturned Roe v. Wade. They ruled against affirmative action in college admissions. But there's been some other things that I don't necessarily agree with. They ruled in favor of presidential immunity. They did what the Constitution says. And the Democrats don't like that. And so what the Democrats have done is decided, since they've lost some rulings on the Supreme Court, that it has to be changed. There has to be Supreme Court reform. If these judges aren't doing what we want them to do, we've got to reform the court and get a kangaroo court up there that does what we want them to do. And what Biden has released is insane. And he's calling for what's being described by the left are 3 bold reforms, okay? I'm not sharing them in order. The second one is term limits for Supreme Court justices. Federal judges are lifetime appointments, and that's a good thing, okay? Because it takes the politics out of it, right? You know, someone's there as long as they want to be there or until they die, and they don't have to worry about reappointments or politics or anything. And if there were term limits, what you would have, there'd be a lot of problems. But one of the problems would be is federal judges, Supreme Court justices would start campaigning for a new appointment. Oh, my term's almost up. So, I better start doing the right thing and cozying up to who the sitting president is, whether or not I agree with them or not, because I want them to reappoint me. You understand what I mean?
It's funny how they want term limits for them, but not for
members of Congress.
Right.
Yeah, so here it is. Term limits.
The ones who need it.
This is crazy. Yeah, exactly. Term limits for Supreme Court justices. They want Congress to approve term limits of 70. Let's see here. Congress approved term limits for the presidency over 75 years ago. The presidency is a little different. This is in Biden's letter. And
I don't think any of this will pass.
We didn't have
they need like 2/3 majority.
Yeah. Well, if they have the presidency and the Congress, they could pass this legislation. Now, I don't know if it would hold up to Supreme Court approval.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is something. Congress approved term limits for the presidency over 75 years ago. This is but the Biden memo. And President Biden believes they should do the same for the Supreme Court. The United States is the only major constitutional democracy that gives lifetime seats to high court justices. Term limits would help ensure the court. Excuse me, I'd never done that before.
How does it work with a federal judge? They're appointed for life too,
correct?
Aren't they?
Yes.
So wouldn't this upset the whole system?
They're just talking about the Supreme Court.
Yeah, but wouldn't it trickle down if it passed to federal judges? Then they would say, okay, well, they need a term limit too.
Exactly. Term limits would help ensure the Supreme Court's membership changes with some regularity, making timing for court nominations more predictable and less arbitrary. Right now, they're based on when somebody dies. And you look at Sandra Day O'Connor, you know, the Democrats were holding her up. She should have been off the court like years ago, and they were holding her up. Well,
they were upset
years.
Also that Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't resign when they wanted her to, because she died when Trump was in office.
Correct.
Right? So that's part of it too. They want to be.
They wanted her to resign. They wanted Obama to be able to make the replacement.
Yeah. I mean, this is just, they're really freaked out because Trump got 3 appointments, which is crazy, in 4 years.
We got lucky with that. We got lucky with that.
I mean,
that was awesome.
And anything that goes against, anything.
It can happen their way too.
Anything that goes against Democrats is a threat to democracy or unconstitutional. I mean, I love how they throw these words around.
Well, they say this right here. They would say this would reduce the chance that any single presidency imposes undue influence for generations to come. President Biden supports a system in which the president would appoint a justice every 2 years to spend 18 years on the court in active service. Yeah, they want to have 18-year terms for justices, and every 2 years, because there's 9 members of the court, every 2 years, the president gets to appoint somebody. That's crazy.
I think that would just throw the country into chaos.
Not only would it throw it into chaos,
these are stupid people.
It would turn it into like an elected office, okay?
Well, they don't care. They don't care how it affects the country. All they care about is how it affects them.
Yeah. The third one, there's only 3 here, but I'm sharing the last one, the first one for last, okay? The third one, this one's specifically directed at Clarence Thomas. They want to get rid of Clarence Thomas so bad. Clarence Thomas, they really hate that guy. Binding code of conduct for Supreme Courts, okay? Now, federal judges, including the Supreme Court, they're just like any other member of the federal government. They can be impeached. There have been – I knew a guy who was a federal judge who was impeached and removed from the bench, Alcee Hastings. He's passed away now, but Alcee Hastings was a federal judge appointed by Jimmy Carter in the Miami federal court.
Yeah.
And he was accused of taking bribes. And he was impeached in the House, and the Senate removed him from the bench. Then he went on to run for Congress and spent the rest of his life as a Democrat, serving alongside some of the same people that said he took bribes. It was crazy. But anyway, this is directed.
Government is so messed up.
This is directed towards Clarence Thomas because they want to. They're always trying to act as if Clarence Thomas is on the take, which he's not. President Biden believes that Congress should pass binding enforceable conduct and ethics rules that require justices to disclose gifts, refrain from public political activity, and recuse themselves from cases in which they or their spouses have financial or conflicts of interest. You know, Clarence Thomas's wife, who they hate, is MAGA. She used to be with the Tea Party. She's MAGA. They really hate her. Now, this is number 1 that's on the list. I saved the best for last, which was number 1. No immunity for crimes a former president committed while in office. See, that's directed at Trump. They have 2 things here. One directed at Clarence Thomas, one directed at President Trump. President Biden shares the founders' belief that the president's power is limited, not absolute, and must ultimately reside with the people. He is calling for a constitutional amendment that makes clear no president is above the law or immune from prosecution for crimes committed while in office. This is called the No One is Above the Law Amendment, which will state that the Constitution does not confer any immunity from federal criminal indictment, trial, conviction, or sentencing by virtue of previously serving as president. These things are insane.
Yeah.
And, you know,
this is what makes me nervous.
This is scary stuff.
Is so many things are in reaction to Trump. You know what I mean? They're all in a reaction to him because they are terrified of his popularity. And they're terrified because he doesn't play their game. And they see him as a threat because he doesn't go along with the deep state, and he's like rogue.
Yeah, exactly.
And he actually tries to lead the country.
All right, now we just paused the podcast because as we were talking, I just got a notification on my news that there was an earthquake
in LA,
in California, and it reached 5.2, and it had like, you know, this circle of red, and Los Angeles was in it. So I said, let's stop the podcast. And I signaled to Kathy, you know, then I paused, and then we called our daughter.
Right.
And she's like, what earthquake? She didn't feel anything.
No.
You know, she's in her car
Maybe
driving around LA.
Is nothing.
You know, she's like,
my best friend lives in Utah, and they had an earthquake last night.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, we're not childless cat ladies when things like this. This is what happens when you're a parent. You know, you stop what you're doing, you check on your kid, and she thinks we're nuts. But that's okay.
I just always having visions of Lois Lane.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
In California with the earthquake.
Well, remember California was going to. So anyway,
but 5.2, I guess, is nothing because she's said she's never really felt an earthquake. Like they'll get reports, and she's like, I don't feel. You know, I guess it has to be a certain.
Yeah. So back to the Supreme Court.
I don't know anything about.
So, you know, listen, the Supreme Court has made a lot of crazy rulings over the years.
Yeah.
And I like that, you know, when it comes to Roe v. Wade, regardless of your opinion about Roe v. Wade, okay, obviously I'm pro-life. Our daughter is adopted. My mother is adopted. You know, we're strongly pro-life, you know. But this isn't – but I give you this opinion they have on Roe v. Wade. The liberals, they keep telling us this was the law of the land for 50 years. The Supreme Court ruled that it must stay that way forever. Over the existence of the United States Supreme Court, Look up the Dred Scott decision. Dred Scott was an escaped slave, and the Supreme Court ruled that he should be returned to his owner. Okay? The Supreme Court ruled separate but equal in favor of segregation. Okay? The Supreme Court has made insane rulings over the life of it. And just because the Supreme Court has a ruling does not mean it's going to stay that way forever. And so far as this Supreme Court goes, eventually the Democrats are going to have the majority on the court again. And if I'm still alive, because Donald Trump wisely appointed somewhat young people for Supreme Court appointments, which I'm grateful. I'd like him to appoint some good conservatives right out of law school, at 25. Let them be on the court so they'll be there forever. But, it really shows you how tyrannical the left are, right?
I don't understand what...
All of a sudden, the Supreme Court's illegitimate because
I don't understand
it's not
in
going
their
their
mind
way.
what... And I told you, I read this article somewhere in the New York Times or something where this reporter said that Democratic politicians behind the scenes and off the record tell him all the time that they know Trump is not a threat to democracy at all. In fact, they agree with a lot of his policies. Yeah. But it's a narrative they're running with to scare people into voting for them, and which is very dangerous. And because you're lying to people and misleading them and scaring them into thinking something's true. Because when you really think about it, what has Trump done that has infringed on anybody's rights? Really, so Roe v. Wade gone to the states, that didn't abolish abortion. It's just a state-ruled decision, which is how most things should be. That's how the government intended the states to handle most things, and the federal government have a very limited
That's right.
Control, and the federal government has gone out of control, which a lot of the founding fathers were concerned about.
And it's very dangerous to change laws in our court system over one or two things to make it fit that. But it shows you they're not getting their way. They've lost some big cases.
Exactly.
So they're trying to set it up so they can get their way.
Right.
But what they're doing is they want to have a kangaroo court. Now, some new footage, as we've been speaking, has just dropped on X from Pennsylvania. There's new video from July 13th. It shows that police had the building surrounded where the shooter was on the roof of.
Right.
Police had the building surrounded for over a minute before the shooter opened fire. And
so it wasn't just one cop that went up there. The whole building was surrounded.
The whole building was surrounded by police for over a minute.
So what were they doing? Why didn't they go stop this kid?
And, when Trump was speaking, he was not up there very long. When he went to that graphic, he's gone to graphics before, but not at the beginning. Like in the middle, 3/4 of the way in. Very unusual. And, for them to have the building surrounded for a minute and President Trump is still on stage, that's crazy to me. And I find it impossible to believe that the police command post did not have a way to communicate with the Secret Service. I find that
the SWAT team said there was no link.
Maybe not for the individuals, but for their supervisor, there has to be a way. There has to be a way.
Something happened. There's no way all these people would be in on this, in my opinion. This was something orchestrated. Clearly something happened. This was not just a series of bad coincidences. Okay? Things don't go... You can't have that many variables going wrong at the same time. That's just scientifically impossible. Something happened. I believe eventually the truth will come out. I would like them to interview the guy who was in charge of that particular event, the Secret Service agent, because Kim Cheadle had said that she does not sign off on events, that they assign different people to each event and they are in charge. Well, where the hell is this person that is assigned to this? And why wasn't he interviewed in front of Congress, in front of the whole nation? Because that's who really needs to be talked to, because he's the one who signed off on this. And, I told you, these internet sleuths, they're not going to let this go. This is like the biggest solving crime to solve, potential crime. Well, it is a crime because a guy got killed. It's the biggest crime. Well,
it's a crime. A president got shot, a man was killed, and two others were shot.
You know what I mean? And these internet sleuths are not going to let this go. And the cops are already telling the news and leaking things. And I think eventually we will get the comms. You know how you get the dash cam and the cop cam footage leaked?
Yeah.
That's going to get leaked, where you're going to hear things, and they're going to put a timeline together. And Marsha Blackburn has already said that they knew about this kid for an hour. So the question is, what did the Secret Service know, and when did they know it? We know the cops knew he was there. When did the Secret Service know he was there? That's the main thing. The cops knew he was there for an hour. We've established that. And something easily, they could have walked over to the Secret Service and said, look, there's a guy over there. I mean, in an hour, you can walk over. You could do it in 10 minutes. Walk up to the cops had access. You could walk up to that area.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
But I'd like to know when the Secret Service knew and why. And, you ask her, we're looking into it, this and that.
Yeah.
And then why did they, and did the people that walked him on stage, I mean, because they put their life in danger too. The people that were up on stage with him and around the stage, those guys' lives were in danger too, because they jumped on Trump. They weren't in on this.
No.
They jumped on Trump and they could have gotten killed.
The ones on his closest detail were with him. Now, I'll tell you,
I mean, they could have been shot.
They made some mistake. This is not like the Kennedy assassination, okay? We had some grainy film. You couldn't see anything. There's literally thousands of videos and photographs of this, and things are being put together. And eventually, what's going to happen is, because there's so much video and photos that's being collected and put together, there's going to be films that come out showing you everything with edited film and photographs from every direction, because there's so many things that are coming out every day. Like just in the time they can't contain this. During the time we've been doing this podcast, 2 breaking things have come out. One, a photograph of a police officer with his gun unholstered 2 minutes before. Yeah. Now, a video of the entire building surrounded by police officers with guns out, a full minute, at least, maybe longer, before the shooting began. And it's a very short one-story roof while President Trump's still on stage. So the conspirators that put everything in action for this to happen, and I do believe this was a conspiracy. I do not believe this was some lone. If this was some lone kid, we would know everything about his life, and they've kept everything about him 2.5 weeks in almost since this happened, and we know very little about him. I don't think he
acted alone, but I don't think everybody was in on it. You know what I'm saying? I think.
Well, this guy that is
a couple people,
the guy whose phone's pinging at the FBI building that was in communication with him, multiple pings. That guy,
there had to be some people that had to be in on this that allowed Trump to go on that stage or prevented his detail from knowing what was happening. Because I promise you, those people on his detail are with him all the time, and they're probably very friendly with him and his family. I don't think they would have let him walk on stage if they had known there was any kind of a threat, because even Don Jr. said they've kept him off the stage many, many times for very innocuous things, like an email. And they would say, let's look into this before we let you out there. Let's double check. Even the other day, he did a rally and he said
the Bitcoin speech.
The Secret Service said, you got to wait. That's why he said, I'm late because they had to check on something.
Yeah.
So they do that all the time. So when Trump is late, that's probably why he is late. Well, this rally, he was right on time, perfectly on time. It was, you know what I mean? It was almost unusual.
And I'll tell you, so I noticed. I made a point to tell you, because we watch on.
he was right on time to the minute.
We watch Right Side Broadcasting, and so we have it on all afternoon, and we're doing things around the house, and they'll tell you, okay, President Trump's going to be out at 4:00. And when he came out at 4:00, I even told Kathy, I said, wow, this is unusual. He's out there right on time. 6:00. Yeah. He's out there right on time.
Yes.
And this is very unusual.
Exactly.
Very unusual.
Exactly.
And I was like, wow,
that makes it seem orchestrated.
When does he come out on time on the dot? How often does that happen? Even at the Bitcoin, he says the Secret Service said that they needed some time. I said, take all the time you need, right? You guys don't mind. How often have you seen President Trump come out on time on the dot?
He was on time in Pennsylvania.
On the dot.
Yeah.
You know, that's never happened.
Something definitely happened, and I really hope Marsha Blackburn and those other senators that
they're
were
not giving up.
I hope that they
Kathy, this is going to
get to the bottom of this.
This is going to be solved, and this is probably going to be solved by amateurs.
The internet
on social
sleuths.
media, because
That's right.
so much is being collected.
Look at Benny Johnson even went there with his crew, and I think Tucker should go there and interview the police. And they took him up on the roof.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's something Tucker should do. He should go there and go on the roof and interview these people. You know, he's got the most listened to podcast. He has a lot of power.
Tucker, yeah.
And he's got the president's ear. And I promise you, those cops there are not happy with what the hell happened. And they don't want to take the blame for this.
The local police are not going to take the blame for this. And they're being very vocal. And they're releasing everything they have. And, you know,
I've heard some of the communications already.
This committee they're talking about in Congress, we've seen what committees do, all right? They do nothing. Except brainwash and, you know. This is going to be solved by independent journalists, amateur sleuths.
And I tell you.
And when it's solved, you're going to see a panic because
and the only reason that the cops saw that guy on the roof, from what I can gather, of course, they did say they had a picture of him. And the Secret Service had him on their radar. But, you know, they might have a lot of people on their radar, so that might be a normal situation. But the only reason they spotted him was because the people saw him and told the cops. They said, there's a guy up there.
This information that has dropped just while we've been doing this podcast and is amazing. And then we're talking about how many times has Trump come out on time on the dot. And what people will do, I'm sure it's happened. He's done so many speeches.
Not lately.
But they're going to find that the percentage of times that he's come out on time on the dot are very small. And they'll say, well, wait a minute, he's only come out at 5% of the time he's been on time since 2015 or 2%.
I remember watching it, and I remember thinking to myself, and you had even commented, I'm thinking, wow, he's actually like on the dot.
Yeah, it was
crazy.
That
never happens. Usually he's 10, 15, half hour late. And I figure, well, he's backstage talking to people, or maybe they're securing things more and being extra, extra cautious. So there was some breakdown on purpose, I believe. We all believe in the communication. And even the SWAT team had said they were cut off from communicating with the Secret Service, which they said never happens.
Now, MyPillow has so many great products. And, of course, you can use our promo code Kane at checkout on all the specials. But there's a couple things that I want to tell you guys about. You know, the MyPillow children's Bible pillows are 2 for $25 right now. And each pillow has beautiful artwork displaying one of the great stories of the Bible. 2 for $25. They're great for your kids. They're great for your grandkids. And they also have an American flag pillow now, which is really nice, Kathy. And you can get the American flag pillow.
Nice.
It's a 2-pack special just for $25 with our promo code Kane at checkout. So the children's Bible pillow, the American flag pillow, 2 for $25. It's a great deal. And of course, remember, when you go to mypillow.com and use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, you are supporting our program. You're supporting our content. And we greatly appreciate you for doing that. You're also supporting Mike Lindell and MyPillow. You know, through all these trials that he's gone through and all this cancellation from Walmart and the rest, he's not laid off a single person. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was good to see him at the Minnesota.
He was at the Minnesota rally. And, you know, the low prices you're getting, these all-time low prices at MyPillow.com are because you're getting wholesale prices. These are the prices Walmart used to pay, or Kohl's, right? And now you are getting wholesale prices. Yep. The MyPillow pet beds, just $25 with our promo code Kane at checkout. And, of course, there's many other specials there. You can save up to 80% off at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. And there's even huge savings beyond even that with the open box specials section with some of the most popular products like the bathrobes, the slippers, the sheets, and others. If you just go down to the bottom of the website, you'll see the open box specials, huge deals there with our promo code Kane at checkout. So go to MyPillow.com. Use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Load up, support our program, support our content, and support Mike Lindell. All right, we're going to take our last break. There's more to share. We'll be right back.
Patriotism isn't just for election years, it's for every day of every year. If you're a proud American who wants to show your love of God, family, and country, check out usart4u.com. That's USARTFORYOU. With usart4u.com, you can express your patriotism in style with the exclusive Donald Trump mugshot t-shirts, coffee mugs, and magnets honoring the convicted patriot. Check out the Don't California collection that includes hats, t-shirts, and mugs celebrating great states like Texas and free Florida. Admire America with the American Beauty collection that features stunning artwork showcasing America's splendor, and experience the Holy Land of Israel through the pilgrimage section that's filled with beautiful photo art of Israel. You'll find great gifts for the patriots in your life too. Use the promo code RADIO and save 10% off your order. Express your faith, love of family, and patriotism in style from canvas to apparel with usart4u.com. That's USARTFORYOU. usart4u.com. Are you tired of skincare routines that promise results, don't work, and may be compromising your health without you even knowing it? It's time to wake up and discover the truth with the new book from board-certified dermatologist Dr. Yuval Bibi, MD, PhD. Sick Skin, Skincare Made Simple. Available on Amazon. In Sick Skin, the author shares the shocking truth that the skincare industry is filled with deceptions. How do these products manipulate us into thinking we need them? In Sick Skin, you'll discover the secrets the skincare industry doesn't want you to know, their hidden strategies, the myths, and you will learn to free yourself from the industry's grip. Dr. Bibi also shares the language of your skin to interpret the signals your skin sends you. You'll learn exactly what your skin needs and what to avoid for optimal health. After you read Sick Skin, you'll have the power to take control of your skin's health. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Available in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook. Sick Skin, Skincare Made Simple. From author and dermatologist Dr. Yuval Bibi, MD, PhD. And begin your journey to genuine skin health. Sick Skin, Skincare Made Simple on Amazon. In today's world, school safety, gang violence, and mass shooting prevention are top issues with parents, schools, and in our nation. From author Edward Gilliam comes a groundbreaking new book on preventing gang violence and mass shootings, The Compton Shuffle, available on Amazon. Author Edward Gilliam is a dedicated educator and former principal of some of America's most challenging schools. He shares his proven methods to bring peace and stability. When you read The Compton Shuffle, you'll discover how proactive measures can safeguard our communities, how to prevent social unrest and protect innocent lives. You'll also discover how to mitigate psychological distress and economic burdens caused by violence. This book provides an in-depth look at successful strategies to combat violence and create safer environments for students and communities. Join author Edward Gilliam on this vital journey to understand, prevent, and reduce gang violence as well as mass shootings. Become a part of the solution for a safer world and order your copy of The Compton Shuffle, available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions, as well as the website boldaffirmation.com. Take action and contribute to making our schools and communities safer. The Compton Shuffle on Amazon. Are you ready to cleanse not just your skin, but your soul too? Then visit sparkle2clean.com. That's the number 2. Sparkle2clean.com is your destination for all natural beauty and wellness. Sparkle2clean.com offer handmade soaps as well as skincare products that are crafted with nature's wisdom as well as modern science. Their Divine Radiant soap is enriched with the golden wisdom of turmeric. It purifies your skin and your spirit, washing away negativity and leaving you radiant. The Sun-Kissed Apricot Bliss Soap is a luscious journey into skin-nourishing bliss. It lets the natural goodness of apricots gently exfoliate and hydrate your skin. It'll leave it silky smooth and refreshed. Sparkle2clean.com also have a line of holistic skincare products that nourish not only your skin, but also uplifts your spirit and awakens your inner essence. It's time to embark on a journey where skincare becomes a sacred ritual. Illuminate your true essence with products designed to restore balance and harmony to your life. Visit sparkle2clean.com. More than just skincare, it's a spiritual experience. Sparkle2clean.com, illuminating your inner spirit.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. I was just reading this article during the break on the White Women for Kamala Zoom call. Oh, my goodness. You got to listen to this, Kathy. According to reports, nearly 200,000 white women were on the White Women for Kamala Harris Zoom call over the weekend. 200,000 world record. Okay.
This is so absurd.
Well, it's what I was telling you at the beginning of the podcast. It's like what is it called? White dudes for Kamala? Whatever it's called. I don't know. They've decided white people are racist, don't like non-white people. So they're trying, these white liberal do-gooders are trying to tell white people that it's okay. It's okay to vote for someone who's not white, which is so bizarre. We don't care about these things.
That worked for Obama. I remember.
Was a long time. That was 15 years ago.
Yeah,
16 years ago.
I know. I mean, they want to make it like not only that it's okay, but just the whole premise behind it is that white people don't think it's okay.
Yeah, that's right. They're all racist.
You know what I mean? Which is absurd. Like I said, we love Byron Donalds and
Kathy, if it weren't for white people voting for him, Obama wouldn't have been elected or reelected.
Yeah, I mean, it's more identity politics. It's more about optics. It's more about perception.
It's insane. Well, listen to how this went. The meeting of the 200,000, they say. I don't know if I trust that number. You know, we're not a million men at the Million Man March either. Right. The Million Man March didn't have a million men in it. The meeting was organized by Shannon Watts, founder of Moms Demand Action, which is a gun safety group with 10 million members. A former teacher turned influencer named Mrs. Frazzled was there and said, as white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes.
Oh, my goodness.
Mrs. Frazzled said on the Zoom call. Mrs. Frazzled.
We're all so privileged.
Yeah. This is my third show. I did a live stream on YouTube at 2:30 this morning. Then I drove an hour to the radio station, did a 3-hour show, came home. I had to do work and business, and now I'm doing my third show today.
It's crazy how much you work. I mean, it's just nuts.
I'm not complaining. I've got a great career, and I want to thank all of you who watch all of my broadcasts and streams. But if white privilege existed, I think I would just do one a day, right? Not 3. It first went at 2:30 in the morning, which, by the way, I got up like at 1:15 in the morning to do all my show.
By the way, Kamala's father went to Stanford, taught at Stanford.
Yes.
He's a Jamaican.
My parents didn't even go to college.
Yeah, I mean, and she went to Howard and then went to school, UCLA, or University of California Law School, wherever that is out there. But her dad taught at probably one of the best schools in the country.
Yeah.
Definitely in the top 5.
She's a woman of privilege.
Okay, so I don't want to hear this. There's plenty of people of color that are way better off than us.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of white people that are much worse off than us. I mean, it has nothing to do anymore with race. It's just purely economics and how hard you're willing to work to pull yourself out of your situation, or how unwilling you are to work. How many people do you know grow up in privilege and do nothing and don't do anything with their life? Or how many people grow up with nothing, like J.D. Vance, and now he's the vice president nominee? That's what America's all about, and that's why America's so great. You have the option.
That's right.
It's a choice. But this whole nonsense, I worry, Brian, because young people are so stupid. Like even Kamala said they're stupid. Mm-hmm. There's a video of her saying young people are stupid. So I agree with her on that. A lot of young people. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean that they're stupid and to be mean. I mean that they're easily manipulated and brainwashed, and they just don't educate themselves.
Yeah. So let me get back to this. And by the way, I don't want you guys to think I'm complaining about doing the 3 things a day. Kathy will tell you if I'm not doing something that I'm going nuts, that I can't relax unless I'm doing some type of work. Yeah.
Even work on vacation.
But I think, that's true. But if white privilege existed, I would just do one show a day, not 2 or 3.
Because people would just be throwing money at us.
Exactly. Anyway, let me get back to this. This is in the Gateway Pundit from the Kamala White Women Zoom. As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes, Mrs. Frazzled said in the Zoom call. Mrs. Frazzled went on to tell the white women not to speak for BIPOC individuals as she spoke for BIPOC individuals, okay? These white women believe that women of color can only succeed if white people raise them up because BIPOC people can't do it on their own. I've not listened to this, so let me pull this up.
Gracious.
This is a clip of the Zoom call. Okay, I've not listened to this yet. I want to hear it for the first time with you good people. So let me cue it up. Here we go.
Ariel Fodor, affectionately known as Mrs. Frazzle, to her combined audience of over 1.5 million followers, is here to help gentle parent us through this election.
Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you. Hi, everybody. I am so honored to speak today. I am like shaking to just be among such incredible company.
This is Mrs. Frazzled.
We are here because, as if you were here earlier, you've heard BIPOC women have tapped us in as white women to step up, listen, and
BIPOC. Black.
They have a whole other language.
Black something people of color. I
Right.
forgot what the I stands for. Indigenous.
This younger generation is gone.
Yeah.
They're gone. Their brains, this is a product of the brainwashing that started with Obama when these guys were in middle school.
And like how she says, like,
they're gone.
Like, I know the POC part is people of color.
Yes.
B has to stand for black. I'm not sure what the
By people of color.
No,
so,
by it. I'm thinking the I's for indigenous. Is the I? Let us know in the comments.
I have no freaking.
But notice how she says that they've been given permission by the BIPOC people
Yes.
to
Yes.
give white people need permission to speak and give opinions. Listen.
you were here earlier, you've heard BIPOC women have tapped us in as white women to step up, listen, and get involved this election.
Listen and get involved. Not share your voice, but listen and do what they tell you.
I can't stand these women that talk like they're kindergarten teachers.
She's annoying. Mrs. Frazzled.
Yeah.
I wonder if she has kids or she a
like they're
childless
talking to
cat lady.
5-year-olds. Probably. I'm going for the second.
This is a really important time, and we all need to use
Boys
our
and
voices
girls.
and influence for the greater good.
Oh
no
my
matter
God.
who you are all influencers in some way. So tonight, I'm going to share some do's and don'ts for getting involved in politics online,
Wow.
navigating the toxicity that comes with it. And spoiler alert, as much as the toxicity can come from the outside, it can come from us too. So first, don't isolate yourself. We can do our best work when we're in community together like we are tonight, because the toxic feels smaller when we support each other. But
Oh my goodness
don't make it
gracious.
about yourself. As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes.
Wow.
If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals or
Okay, hold on. I hit pause by accident.
Wow.
So if you find yourself speaking over BIPOC individual, I can't wait. Let me rewind that.
Oh, my
I
goodness
hit the
gracious.
pause by accident.
Wow.
This is like The View, but having a table of 160,000.
I don't know what this is like. This is a whole new.
This is insane.
You have to understand, this is normal for liberals. This is how they communicate with each other.
You know what she's saying
You know what I mean?
here?
We're just getting a little glimpse into one of these meetings, but this is how they always are.
What she's saying here
we don't talk like this.
is white people, if don't get too uppity. She's saying to white people, don't get too uppity. If you find yourself talking over a BIPOC individual, I got to hear this.
But this is
Know
how
your
they
place.
always talk to each other. This meeting's not a new anomaly.
This is new to me. They don't talk
it's
this
new
way
to
in
us,
front of me.
But this is how they always talk. This is how they've been communicating
Amongst
with each
themselves.
other for years. Exactly.
Okay, I rewound
This is
it.
not new.
I
for her.
rewound it a little bit because I hit the pause button by accident, and I want to hear what you're supposed to do if you find yourself in speaking over and not listening to a BIPOC person.
first, don't isolate yourself. We can do our best work when we're in community together like we are tonight, because the toxic feels smaller when we support each other. But don't make it about yourself. As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead,
Wow. God forbid correcting them.
Wow.
So if
we're not even allowed to correct.
So if
people.
someone is not white and you don't agree with them, that's correcting them. Or if they say something, if you disagree with them, you God forbid you do this, you've corrected them. You're not to correct
because they're never wrong, apparently.
Now I understand when I hear
That's
from
crazy.
people like Jay from Jersey and Renee from Harlem when they call me on the morning show. They don't think I should be correcting them or disagreeing with them.
How did all of this start? How did all of this this they
racism?
really believe that we are so privileged that we have completely dictated everything in society, and now we're not allowed to say anything is bad or good. We just have to keep our mouths shut. I mean, that's really what they believe.
Shut up and dribble is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, when did all this begin? It's just, and they really believe this stuff. I really feel bad for people that work at corporations. And you know what? I am guessing, because I used to teach, and it was all run by liberals in Broward County. I bet they tell teachers now not to correct students that are people of color.
I mean, like if they get a math problem wrong?
I mean, I could see them having meetings, I'm not lying, telling them how to handle it if a Hispanic kid or a black kid or Asian person acts up in class or does something wrong. I could see them having meetings on how to handle that in a way that so you're not offensive, especially if you're a white teacher, because you don't want to. I mean, it's just crazy how these people think.
Yeah, all right.
It's like on another planet.
This is tough to get through. Okay, let's go.
Tonight, because the toxic feels smaller when we support each other. But don't make it about yourself. As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes.
Oh my God.
If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears on. So do learn from and amplify the voices of those who have been historically marginalized, and use the privilege you have in order to push for systemic change.
Wow.
As white people, we have a lot to learn and unlearn. So do check your blind spots. You are responsible for your algorithm, believe it or not.
The hell is she talking?
You're
This
responsible
is like
for your
a whole
algorithm?
other language.
Yeah, they've changed the English
I
language.
am so glad I'm not one of these millennials people. I mean, I'm so glad I'm Gen X. I'm sorry. We're just way better. We're just way better than these people.
Well,
I wonder if my grandma thought that about us, though, that we were crazy.
This is insane.
She's from the greatest,
There's a lot of nonsense there, and I'm not going to break down all this cat lady's things here. But when she says, God forbid, interrupt them, don't get too uppity if you're white. Just you're to listen. You're not to be, you're not to speak unless spoken to. You're not to render an opinion. That's how that's how the white Democrat racist, that's what they told black people. Don't speak unless you're spoken to.
Are we allowed to learn how to read?
Well, that's coming.
I mean,
that's coming, Kathy.
Oh my goodness.
And
I'm not kidding. 50 years from now, they might have to educate white people in secret.
This Zoom meeting is as more powerful and more important than that one from Disney that Libs of TikTok leaked out a couple years ago.
What was this for again? This is seriously
This is
messed
the
up.
White Women for Kamala Zoom meeting that they had over the weekend. President Trump should use campaign money, buy TV time, and have a television special of just airing this Zoom meeting so people could hear what Kamala Harris and her supporters think about all of us. This is nuts. This is
that's crazy. I don't even know what to say about that. It's so bizarre.
I'm going to be playing this clip a lot over the next week or so because I think it's important, and I don't usually play a soundbite more than once, maybe twice, and then I move on to the next day's stuff. This is one I think I should hold on to.
Could you imagine if it was a group of black people talking like this about white people and reversing the races and saying we have to be quiet and silent, and well,
white people telling black people not to disagree with white people, not to get not to speak.
No, but I'm saying if it was a bunch of black people saying this about, let's know our place and let's not get uppity and that's crazy. I would think that's nuts.
I would be just as upset about that.
Exactly. I mean,
this is what they're turning our country into.
Yes, it's not turned. It's happened.
J.D. Vance, when he was talking about the childless cat ladies, I'd like to add an addition to that. The millennials, the liberal millennial is a big problem. Now,
oh my goodness gracious.
I know. The things that they're coming up with are beyond, you could not even imagine that things would be as crazy as they are now. Now, I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for all of your support, all of you. And those of you that are Patreon supporters, your help is greatly appreciated. Your support for the program is appreciated by both of us. And make sure those of you that are Patreon supporters, go to the Patreon page. There's a lot of exclusive things that Kathy and I both individually post up there that only Patreon supporters have access to. Our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every podcast episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, LeeZep, Shawna, Constance, George, Brandon, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, Christy R, and John S. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all. And if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this episode on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And I also want to remind you that the Brian Craig Show podcast, we are on all podcast platforms. I upload it to my YouTube channel. We're also on YouTube Music. We're on Audible and all podcast platforms.
Yes, I was listening a little bit on Audible. I love Audible, and I forgot we were on that.
Yeah, no, we're on Audible.
So that's awesome,
yeah.
And it's free on Audible. There's a lot of great podcasts on there, and ours is one of them.
Yeah.
So definitely check it out. Just put it on your earbuds or your headphones and listen while you're working around the house.
Or driving in your car.
Yeah, I mean, Brian does that all the time on the weekends. He puts on his headphones and listens to podcasts and things while he's cleaning the backyard and the patio and stuff. And
Absolutely.
So it's a great time to do that.
Absolutely. The Brian Craig Show podcast on all podcast platforms. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will talk to you next time.